And this is the TRL Footy Show, brought to you by the Criterion Hotel Dolby, the Gail Walker Swim School in Highfields and Power FM, live and free from the Toowoomba Sports Club on Power TV Australia. As your regular host, Obi, is away this week, Paul Reedy's in the chair.
Yeah, thanks Robbo, and welcome again to the TRL Footy Show, and it's down here at the Toowoomba Sports Club, filling in for Obi. What an honour that is to be able to fill in for the big man himself. But joining me is obviously Justin Murphy, who's one of the regulars on the Footy Show. Murph, how you going, mate?
It's good to be back. I've been away for a few weeks, so it's good to be back and talk about some good footy over the weekend and coming up in the future.
Yeah, you betcha. And also joining us is Nev Cherry, who's one of the Power TV reporters and does some of the games, mate. How you going?
Mate, I'm good going, Reeds. How are you going, Justin?
It just
wasn't a great game on the weekend. The footy's been brilliant the first round, and as we move into the second round, I just can't wait for more of it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. It was a great Madsen Rasmussen trophy final in all grades on the weekend, so that was fantastic. Hey, the Villies, the Viv 1, had their first win to South Logan, who have got a number of Queensland and Australian representatives. They beat them 30-16, so how good's that going? They've had their first win in Div 1.
That's great. They've been putting in a lot of hard work. I know they've changed some positions and trained a bit harder, and I think they've got a couple of good results the last couple of weeks now too, so I think that's pretty good for them.
And have you caught up any of the games, Justin, yourself out there?
I've seen a couple of games at Valleys they've played. Dave McCall, coach, I always speak to him a fair bit. He's out at work with me, so I know how passionate he is and the time he puts in there.
They're getting a good crowd too. They're starting to been getting a lot of good numbers out there for them to watch, and they've been getting them out there early, which is good for Valleys as well.
The crowds at Valleys, I know Valleys Club, they're really happy with them playing there because they are bringing people to watch them at there as well. And my sister's playing in the 16 side, so I've been there a few times to watch her, and they get some people there as well.
I hope she gets a talent from your brother. Nev, have you watched a couple of the Phillies matches?
No, I haven't. I've spoken to David a few times, and what he's really happy with is just the skill development of the girls. I know they've only had the one win, but just as, like we said before, they're laying a platform, these young ladies, for the 16s to come through, and just their skill development from the start of the year and even last year is just going through the roof. So they're headed for big things in the future.
I think it's one of the fastest growing sections of rugby league is the female side of the game. They're doing us proud. I've had a number of years working with the Phillies as the Mustangs, and they've done a great job for Toowoomba Rugby League, and they've had to do it the hard way. They've had to learn to play, a number of them had to learn to play rugby league first, and they're playing against teams that have been girls, been well established in the game for a long time. So, and they've lost a few games by only just 2 to 4 points. So they could have had a lot more wins up till now, but I think this might put them on the road. And this weekend they're playing East Tigers, so that'll be great. And Division 2 will be up against South Logan. So we wish the Phillies in both divisions the best of luck this weekend. The Mustangs had a bye last week, and we have another bye again this week. So we've drawn rep round, so that's great for the boys to get a couple of weeks off. They need that to be able to get rid of some niggling injuries and then look forward to regrouping. Hey, this Sunday, how good's that going to be?
Brilliant.
Yep, some people like Robbo were sitting up last night waiting for Origin to come on, but it's on Sunday. State of Origin, the first time Queensland, New South Wales in a State of Origin on a Sunday. What do you think the Queensland chances are, Murph?
I think they're pretty good. They've got Ponga in the side to obviously create a little bit more in attack, which they lacked a little bit in the first Origin game. I think they definitely need to attack a little bit more. Hopefully McCulloch gets it out a little bit and takes pressure off his halves as well. Billy Slater back's enormous. So
and I think when you look at Melbourne, they've got one of the best defensive structures, and a lot of that has to be thanks to Billy Slater with his talk at the back, and I think he's going to bring that straight back to Queensland again this Sunday. But I think Sunday afternoon, I reckon that's great. Like Wednesday you got to work, Thursday you got to work, and they still got to work Monday, but at least Sunday there's a bit more of a lead up to it. You've got a bit more time to get ready. I think it's going to be great. What do you think Queensland's chances are, mate? Yeah, going for Queensland.
Most definitely. I nearly started to go for New South Wales. I started to feel sorry for them, but that's gone now. So, but yeah, no, I'll back Queensland every day of the week, and I think coming into a Sunday, it just adds to our game. The whole weekend's the build-up, and with Billy Slater there, like he's just an out-and-out champion. He wants to go out a winner, and you never see Queensland play 2 bad games in a row.
No,
that's I really like their chance, and they would have learned a lot out of that first game.
I think their forwards will learn a lot. Like Jared Wallace had 3 runs in the first State of Origin, and I think it was in a form the other day. He had the third lowest amount of metres ever gained by a Queensland front rower. So he'll be stinging from that. He'll be really wanting to get out. Napa will be looking to fill that big tag that he was supposed to have in the first game as our enforcer. He'll be looking to get involved in that. And but there was a few people that had a really good game. Josh Maguire. I thought was good. Matt Pryor's a bit of an interesting selection. Like, he's had never really been talked about in Origin frame, and then he's come out of the blue. He's been a good footballer, don't worry. He's played 240 odd games of
won 2
NRL.
grand finals too. So he's got that experience behind him.
I really thought they would have went with Ryan James, being a bigger body and a younger man and going towards the future, but I suppose Matt Price deserves the opportunity.
New South Wales, they might be finally getting what Origin's about, picking players. Like Queensland would have picked players like that in the past for years.
That's right. And if you go back with Pryor to that semi-final for Cronulla years ago, when he really needed to stand up, otherwise they were shot. They were out of the competition, and that's what I think Freddie Fitt was looking for, is someone like Pryor to stand up to the occasion and lead the New South Wales forwards around.
And I think Sharks are one of those sides that are grinding sides, aren't they?
Tough.
They
they're
don't,
tough.
you know, there's a little bit of flash with them, but they're a grinding side. So I suppose Origin's all about that, isn't it? About grinding away. So, look, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with the Madsen Rasmussen wrap-up.
Thanks, Paul. After the break, we'll review the Madsen Rasmussen President Cup finals on the TRL Footy Show, brought to you by the Criterion Hotel Dolby, the Gail Walker Swim School and Power FM, live and free on Power TV. Thanks for joining us on the TRL Footy Show from the Toowoomba Sports Club. Let's go back to Paul and the panel.
Yeah, thanks, Robbo. And what a magnificent weekend of rugby league. And it's one of the first times that we've had so many close games, but we had it out at Valleys, out at Herbstone at Oval, away from the Clyde Berghofer Stadium this year, and I think it was a tremendous success. The ground was packed, there was clubs from everywhere, a little bit of country rugby league football been able to have at some of the local grounds, and the Madsen Rasmussen and the President Cups finals. So I'll start with some of the other games. In the second division, Gatton 26 defeated Pittsworth 18. Now this was a pretty close game at half time. Pittsworth were in front 12-10. But Gatton, how good are they going in second division? I think they've won the grand final and the President's Cup for that many years in a row. Now, Nev, you got a bit of a look at this game?
Mate, I certainly did, and 20 minutes into the second half, it could have went either way, but just the Gatton side, they just kicked on with their bigger bodies. Young Caleb Marsh, fullback there, he's a classy little character. He was the difference between the two sides, but to the credit to the Pittsworth fellas, like they tried hard right till the end, and it got quite fiery too. So these fellas, they mightn't be getting the money or the accolades, but they still play with the passion. It was a good game.
What about some of the names that were in that? I know Wes Murray played for Gatton and Briggsy for
interesting, I interviewed Briggsy after it. Like, he's won TRL premierships and been
A-grade, captain the A-grade premiership.
He lost the C-grade President's. He was shattered when I was talking to him. He was shattered. It was brilliant. So it still means a bit to the players.
That's awesome, and I think it's great that those guys are doing that for their clubs still.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we had the under-18s, and the South Tigers prevailed there, 58-12. They led 24-6 at half-time, so the South Tigers were in the game all the way and really went on with it. This is going to put Souths in some good stead for future. They've got a really good under-18 side there, particularly with the likes of Jake Simpkins at hooker, who's a Queensland under-18 hooker, and also Lukey Maiden, who's been playing with the Mustangs with us in the 20s. Cole Peterson was in that side, and he's a very good back rower, young Cole. So they've got a very good side, South 18s, and they've got good juniors coming through. They need to hold them together.
A lot of those guys in that side, they've come through the juniors together and stayed together too, and it shows in this game. I think Connor Williams is another player in that side.
Yeah, well, we all remember his dad, fantastic football at the Scud. And so you got another good look at this game as well, mate, and they were just impressive, Souths.
Mate, they certainly were, but to the Gatton under-18's credit, for the first 15 minutes, Souths were just at their line the whole time. And they can build on this, the Gatton side. They held them out for 15 minutes, but just the class in the end, there's some brilliant little players, like young Lip, the 5'8", he's class all over.
Yeah, Jordan Lip, he's been playing with the Mustangs, he's
Connor,
a good footballer.
And, mate, they're a good side, and they worked hard. Young McCormack, he had a brilliant game.
Tate. He's a good footballer.
But, mate, they worked hard for it, and the best thing about those young fellas is that they're they're good kids off the field as well. If you ever get a chance to speak to them, mate, it was a good day. It was a great celebration for the under-18s.
A lot of those guys from South too, they've stepped up when their clubs needed this year and played 18s and first grade too to help.
Actually, Murph, someone told me, an old footballer told me once, the hardest football you'll ever play is in the under-18s. And you look at those young fellas playing there, and just the competitiveness of them and the physicality. Mate, your speed, for South to win that, that's a real notch in their belt. It's a hard competition across the board in those under-18s. So
those players, they'll remember that for years to come.
Of course
I still remember my years in under 17s back then, 94, 95, playing in good teams, winning them games.
Well, there we go. We've got the first piece of silverware out for the South Tigers this year, and hopefully they'll be able to go on with it this year and take out the grand final. Reserve grade, another great match there. The Highfields Eagles 24 defeated Gatton 10. Highfields led at half-time 16-10, and this is Highfields' first ever trophy in any grade since they've been in the Toowoomba Rugby League.
Hard to believe.
So how fantastic was that too for the Eagles to get their first silverware as well in the history of their young club, a very young club. But this shows great depth, doesn't it, to Highfields? Like they're right up there with the A grade. They're running equal third, and then they've got the President's Cup in reserve grade.
In previous years, they've had a really good A grade squad, but their reserve grade's sort of been down the bottom. So it's really good that they've built that up this year, I think, for them as a club.
And I think what you might miss out of that is that they've been robbed player-wise all the first round, because a lot of those fellas out of reserve grade had to step up to A grade and done really, really well. And mate, it's a great credit to the Highfields club. Like they think, a lot of people think that they just buy their way out there, but the stuff you see them do before a game, after a game, during a game, money doesn't buy that sort of stuff. So Quinny Gordon's doing a great job out there, and those fellas, they train hard, they stick together. So congratulations to the Highfields club.
And I think that's what their A grade's going to need. They're going to need that depth in reserve grade. All of them do. Valleys have got it, of course. So that's going to hold them in good stead coming through to the back end of the year.
That depth last year, it did cost Highfields, I think, because Bainbridge didn't play in the semis, and then they really missed him. They didn't have anyone to step up.
Yeah, to step up. So that was another great game in the President's Cups. And then, of course, we moved on to A grade to the Madsen Rasmussen final. And this year was Valleys 24 defeating the Wattles Warriors 22. Valleys took a half-time lead in of 8-6, and it was a pretty good, tough tussle in the first half, but then you thought, oh, Wattles have run away with it. 22-8 Wattles led with 11 minutes remaining, and then the Valleys Roosters come back with Jason Sharp scoring the winning try for the Roosters to get them across the line for 2 in a row now for the Madsen Rasmussen final for the Roosters. Murph, how's the club feeling about that? They'd be enjoying that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I think it's a great achievement for the club, and a lot of those boys, again, they've come through the juniors together. Jason Sharp, he's been a Valleys junior. Huey Segru played well at the end there too. He's another Valleys junior. So
I think
they've been around together.
Well, I was listening to Brett Seymour. He was talking about Huey was the one who probably changed things a little bit in that last 10, 12 minutes to really sort of put Valleys on the front foot again and helped them get back in, I suppose, getting on the roll to get going forward.
I think it's great, and those boys, I remember watching them as a first grade squad at Valleys when in 2010, I think it was, we had a really good team, winning the grand final, and we always used to go to watch them in the juniors play as well.
Wow.
And Nathan Bowring, he took out the Bill and Stephen Pollard medalist for the best player on ground in the Madsen Rasmussen final. Nev, how did he go, mate? He had a real good game?
Look, he's improved out of sight. He's been one of Valley's best performers this year. He put a hit on Duggan in the first half, made me shudder. He's only a little fella, but and even Matty Duggan, he fell it, but to his credit, he got back up. But mate, he certainly put his body on the line. And the great thing I love about these two sides, and especially the coaches, Seymour and Burns, they're coming to win the sheep station. That's what they play for. They've been the best thing for our competition, like you wouldn't believe. And look, it's a pity there had to be a loser out there. The game was that good. It seesawed back and forth, and it's just the standard of our competition. Just you go away and lose by 2 points. It's not the end of the world, because it was a brilliant game and tough, fast. It had everything. The centre, Caleb Hart, he was just sensational. They tell me he's only about 20 years old.
Yes.
And, mate, I don't think there was a bad player on the field. Young Zach Miles, Skeeter Miles is his old man, played for the Wattles Club, but young Zach, he
come up with a double, didn't he?
Mate, he did. He scored 2 tries, and they weren't easy tries. And if you've seen him, he weighs 65 kilos, and I've watched him for 4 weeks. He's just getting better and better every week. But to the Wattles side, Coyner, he tried his heart out all day. Mitchy Coyner in the middle there.
Yeah, Mitchy's a good worker. And along with Will O'Grady, the Duggan boys, Travis Burns, they've got a real good side, and they'll be there at the end of the season when the whips are cracking. Along with Valleys, Highfields, Dolby, Pittsworth, they're all there. So it's going to be a very, very good comp. So that's the Madsen Rasmussen final wrap-up. And before we go to the break, let's watch an interview now with young South under-18 player Jake Simpkins after the big President's Cup win for the Tigers.
Up next, we'll look at the points table and preview round 12 matches. This is the TRL Footy Show, thanks to the Criterion Hotel Dolby, the Gail Walker Swim School in Highfields and Power FM.
Gian Cherry reporting for the Toowoomba Rugby League. I'm here at the Under-18s President's Cup competition. Here I have Jake Simpkin, number 13 for South. Now, Jake, what do you make from such a convincing win?
Well, obviously the boys have been putting in training and yeah, been working pretty hard towards it, and pretty happy with the win we got today.
Yeah, and like you must be really, really proud of the boys. Why do you think you got that win today? Like, what drove you to that point?
We all play for each other. We've been putting in pretty hard at training for each other, and we all work hard as a team, and obviously that's how we got the job done.
Yeah. Can you please tell me about your player number 6, Flip?
Jordan's a good player. I played a lot of my footy with him, so we have a few combinations and that together, and yeah, he's a good player.
Yeah. Now, what does it take to win a competition like this?
Obviously, the boys around you, the team that you've got, and just like, I don't know, just yeah, that's it.
Yeah. You guys have a really big army of supporters. It must be really good to like come to a game every week and have those supporters there.
Yeah. It comes down to the sport. The sport's everything here. That's what gets us over the game every week, and that's it.
Council, I'll declare the meeting open. Thank you very much for your attendance. Welcome to our staff.
Hi, this is Mick Jagger on
Classic Vinyl. This is Debbie Harrow from Blondie.
This is Jimmy Barnes here.
Stevie Nicks from Fleetwood Mac.
This is Reppin' Willie G from ZZ Top.
The best tracks from the greatest albums of our generation.
That's right.
From your breakfast and coffee to your drive home.
We've got the classic hits that make your workday
When you got a job to do, go by a lot faster.
Hey, if we haven't said it lately, thanks for listening. The home of classic rock.
Don't touch the dial.
PowerFMradio.com.au.
Whether you're a professional musician, a weekend warrior, or just starting out, you need to talk to the experts at Royce Music. With over 35 years' experience, Royce, Toowoomba's oldest music store, specialise in guitars, drums, and sound equipment, and can even repair and maintain your equipment. Call them today on 46-327-377, drop into their showroom at 17 Bowen Street, or find them on Facebook. Royce Music, selling Toowoomba's finest musical instruments.
Hi, I'm Neil from CGD Group, and we do printing with imagination. Our products and imaging have that wow factor. Whether it be business cards, flyers, the Coffee Gazette, or our brand new A5 video folders and animation. Have your business branding remembered. Call us today on 4639 5553. CGD Group, printing with imagination.
On Power TV Australia, we take a frank look at computers, the internet and social media with a team of experts from around the world with Switched On IT. Learn what makes the internet tick and how to keep your kids safe online. Discover a whole new world of entertainment at www.powertvaustralia.com or download the app from the Google Play Store.
And welcome back to the TRL Footy Show from the Toowoomba Sports Club, live and free on Power TV Australia. Now it's back to Paul and the panel and our preview of round 12.
Yeah, thanks, Robbo. Another great weekend of rugby league coming up for Toowoomba Rugby League. First, we'll have a look at the points tables, and in the Hutchies A grade, Valley's out on top, 18, equal with Wattles on 18. Just behind them on equal third is Highfields 14 and Warwick 14, Dalby 14. So what a tied up table it is there. The Hawks, Gatton 10, Pittsworth 8, Oakey 8, Gundawindi Boars are 4, Brothers 2 and Souths bring up the back end of the Hutchies A-grade table. That's a pretty tightly congested table, and you would even say outside the top 5, the next 3 have all got a chance of featuring in the finals again.
Definitely. You wouldn't think Gatton, Pittsworth were just outside, and then Oakey, they've built up again too, so I reckon they'll pick up a few wins and trouble a few sides this round as well.
Yeah, I think so too. Toowoomba Toyota Reserve Grade. This is another fantastic competition. Gatton find themselves out on front 16. Highfields are on 15 and they beat Gatton in the President's Cup. Wattles on 14, Pittsworth 14, Valleys 14. So they're all very tight there as well. Dalby 13, Warwick 9, Gundawindi 9, Souths on 4, Oakey 2 and Brothers on 0. So another very tight ladder there in reserve grade. And in the Toowoomba Better Home Living under 18s, Souths and Gatton both find themselves on top in 18 points. Second, how tight is this? Highfields 17, Dalby 17, and then South Burnett 15. They're doing a great job, the South Burnett boys. They've got a lot of travelling to do. Valley's on 12, and I think you'll see that change in the second round now. They've got a lot of their players back as well. Pittsworth 10, Gundawindi 8, Warwick 8, Wattles 4, Brothers 3, and Oakey 2. Another good competition there in the Better Home Living. And then, of course, our second division, the Clyde Berghofer second division. Gatton find themselves out on front with 14. Pittsworth there on 13. Stanthorpe doing a great job on 12. Dalby 12, Warwick 8, Oakey 6, Valleys 5 and Brothers 2. It's fantastic when there's so many teams in second division as well, and it's good to see a lot of the A-graders. It's a pathway for them to continue playing rugby league and go back to playing in the second division when they don't want to be playing A-grade anymore. But let's have a look at round 12. There's going to be a fantastic opportunity this weekend for people to get some wins, and some upset wins too, I think, could be on the table. So Saturday night, we have Brothers versus Oakey out at Glenholme Park. So take out your jumpers. It'll be nice and chilly out there Saturday night. We're going to kick off at 2:10 in the second division. 3:30 will be the under 18s, 5 p.m. reserve grade. And then the main game, 6:30, Brothers versus Oakey. Who do you think's going to get up, Murph?
I think Oakey, they've got some quality young players coming back there, and I think Tooks, and they've been building a little bit, so I think that they'll be a bit more experienced, and I think they'll have a good second round, Oakey.
They've had a couple of hard games coming into the Madsen Rasmussen against some of the top sides, and they've acquitted themselves pretty well. So they could be there for an upset. So you're going with Oakey.
I know that they were playing Wattles, who were one of the benchmarks the other week, and they lost, and they were filthy about losing them. So I think that's a good sign for them.
That's a good sign for them. Nev, you've been watching all these sides play throughout the year.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Brothers side, because number one, they're playing at home on a Saturday night. It's freezing cold, but I just like the vibe when you turn up out there. Like the whole committee, all the players. I know they're not far up the ladder, but they're working on that potential and the possibilities, and I think there's a whole change out there at the Brothers Club. Before the Oakey Club, like they certainly got some really good players if they turn up and play to their potential and not get carried away too much of the emotional stuff. But I'll tip Brothers in the end.
Okay, we've got Nev tipping Brothers. We've got Murph going with Oakey, and I'm going to give the toss to Brothers as well. I think they're building as well, and they're going to get over the top of the Bears. We've got another great game in the under-18s, and I mentioned before how good a job this club's doing. South Burnett in our under-18 competition.
We'll call them that game too.
Yep, they're playing against Gatton, and that'll be one of our games that's going to be called on Power FM. It's out at Nanango, and it kicks off at 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. I reckon they're doing a great job there, South Burnett. They've got a lot of travelling to do, particularly when they've got to travel to Gundawindi and Warwick and all that. It's a fair trip for the boys, and but it's great for them to be in the Toowoomba Rugby League.
They definitely add something to the game. I've seen them at their attacking style of footy, and it definitely adds. It'd be good to see them in a few years to follow that up in the other grades as well.
The thing is, Murph, they go back, if they're not playing up here on the Sunday, they'll go back up there and play A grade in that competition, so they're not scared of playing the bigger bodies and the older gentlemen.
Yeah, and they want to play a bit of footy. Yeah. That moves us on to Sunday, and we're going to have Gundawindi versus Wattles out at Gilbert Oval out at Gundawindi on Sunday afternoon. 11:30 the under-18s kick off, 1 p.m. will be reserve grade. Then the main game, kick-off at 2:30 in the A grade. Gundawindi versus Wattles. Now, this is a bit of a trip you don't always like to get to because Gundawindi, they show up in droves at a home game.
Definitely. I think it's a tricky game for Wattles going back there too. They're on a massive high, being in the President's Cup, and then losing was a bit disappointing, but it's a tricky game from this week. They've got to make sure they turn up ready to play, I think.
Yeah, they've got a good young side though, Gundy, haven't they? With Tyrell McCulloch and young Carter and young Curry and that playing in the side. They're putting together, and then they've got their few old hard heads that have been there for a number of years. And
Ronnie David
and them. So they'll, I reckon they'll equip themselves well, Gundy. So who are you going to go for, Gundy and Wattles?
I think Wattles will win just on class, but I think it will be a tricky game. They'll have to turn up ready, definitely.
Yeah, I don't think they'll want to go out there half-hearted. Otherwise, the Wattles Warriors might find themselves on the losing end of the Gundawindi Boars. I'll give it to Wattles as well. I think they'll just step up over Gundy, but it's going to be another tough match for them, like they just had on the weekend. Nev, who are you going to go for?
Yeah, I'm taking Wattles just simply because they've got so much class across the park. But as I've touched on before, the Gundawindi A-grade side, they've just been unlucky. They've tried hard. They've got good players there. If they just keep working hard and building on it, they'll certainly get the wins. And it's Wattles. They better be careful they turn up there. I'll take Wattles.
So we're all on Wattles there, but don't ride off the Gundawindi Boars, particularly at home. Our next game is Highfields versus Warwick at Cools Road. Highfields will be a little bit disappointed that they didn't make the Matson Rasmussen final. They're only just the 1 point out of it. But 11:30am, their under-18s will kick off. 1pm is reserve grade, and 2:30 Sunday afternoon at the Cools Road Recreation Reserve will have the A grade, where the Warwick Cowboys will travel down and take on Highfields, mate. What's your verdict?
Warwick beat them first game. I think they're winning by 20, and then Highfields come back. And I know that Gus will definitely have these guys ready to go for this game too.
He'll be fired up.
I think they want a bit of revenge.
And is it Gus's first game back from his own little suspension? I think he's had a little bit of a rest.
Yeah.
It should be his first game back, so he might be a bit fired up on the sideline again. He might have to watch there too. I think it'll be a good game, this one. They both find themselves on 14 points. So they're equal on the ladder. So it's going to be a very interesting match. They'll both be in desperate search for the 2 points to make sure that they're there at the end of the season. I'm going to go with Highfields to return the win over Warwick. And I do remember that game when Warwick just got up over Highfields. So I'm going to go with Highfields. I think they'll be the week off will have done in the world of good, the same as Warwick, but they'll be hard to beat.
I think Highfields will be on a high too with their reserve grade winning, and these guys will have to prove themselves in first grade this week as well. Otherwise, there might be a bit of competition for spots there.
Exactly right, and that's good. That's what you need. You need the reserve grade putting some pressure on the A grade. Nev, you've watched both these sides a number of times throughout the season.
Yeah, I'll tip Highfield straight off the bat, just simply for what they do off the field. They're a tight bunch out when they won the under-18s, the reserve grade there last week. All the A grade were there watching, supporting each other. But I think for Highfield's sake, if they want momentum going forward, they've got to step up this week. I think whoever takes the win out of this game is going to rely back on that further down the field when we go towards the semis. So I think if Highfields think they're going to be a force in this competition, they really need to.
Do you think the big Warwick forward pack might worry them?
Mate, of course they will. Like, Warwick's a good team, and I wouldn't take anything away from him. And Phil Economides, like, he's an absolute coaching legend. He'll have them up for the game. But if I haven't seen Highfields play a game where they come off the field, and I've thought to myself, they really nailed it today. I still think they've got the most improvement out of any team in the competition. They can improve the most coming into the second round.
Well, there you go. We're all tipping the Eagles this weekend to get up over the Cowboys, but I really think you could toss a coin and it could go either way, that match. And our last match on the weekend will be the Dalby Club versus Pittsworth, and it's out at Dalby, and this is going to be the Hutchies match. This is the Obie and Cookie Call. 2:10pm, we're going to kick off out there with second division, and then of course 3:30 under-18s. 5pm is reserve grade, 6:30 is A grade. So that's going to be a big weekend out there at Dalby, and I think this is going to be a pretty good match between Dalby and Pittsworth.
I think you'll see a desperate Pittsworth turn up here because they need to stay in touch with the top teams here, so they'll need to try and get a win on board here.
I don't know if those times are right though. I can't see you playing 6:30 on a Sunday night against State of Origins on. So I think you might want to check it might be a Saturday match. So that'll be a great opportunity. Look, I'm going to go with Dalby. I think as you said, Pittsworth will be desperate to get the 2 points to stay in touch with the top 5. But Dalby, their season's really building nicely. I like the way they're putting it together, and their coach is doing a great job, Derek Brady, out there with them. So I think Dalby will get over the top of the Danes.
I think they will too, Reeds. I think they had that good win against Highfields there just before the Madsen Rasmussen, and I think the Giant woke that night and they took a step forward. And just talking to those guys out there, they've been filthy with their form in the first round, so I don't think they want to take that step back. So I think it's onwards and upwards for the Dalby club, especially the A grade.
This is a grand final match of last season as well, so a bit of extra incentive.
There'll be a little bit of feeling there too, particularly from the Pittsworth boys. And then, of course, Souths versus Valleys, and this will be at Glenholme Park. This is on Sunday, 11:30 in the morning. Under 18s will be kicking off. 1 o'clock for reserve grade. 2:30 will be then A grade, where the South Tigers will be at home against the Valleys Roosters. Look, this is you don't want to be coming up against the Roosters straight after they've won the Madsen Rasmussen, particularly for the South side, who haven't been able to get a win on the board. But hopefully they'll acquit themselves well and start to get some points on the board and be pretty competitive.
Yeah, definitely. I think it'll be. Hopefully they can. They're trying their hardest, South, in first grade, and as a club they are. Heath, what he's doing, I think it's great, and I really respect what he's done for that club. And it'll be a little bit tough for him coming against the top team, but the game out there earlier, that under 18s game will be a really good game as well. So
yeah, that'll be a real good game. As I said before, Valley's starting to get some of their players back. South's winning the first bit of silverware in the under 18s this year. That's going to be a fantastic game. And 11:30, that's where you'll want to be on Sunday to get out there and have a look at that match. Nev, who are you going for? Obviously, Valleys.
Yeah, we'll have to take Valleys. But to the South's credit, some of the guys I spoke to off the field, like, they're still upbeat. And some of them know they've got to play 2 games, and they're the fellas you want within your club, and they certainly can build on that. So I know Souths are doing it tough, but they just keep chipping away there.
They've also had a fair few injuries too this year, South. So I was talking to a few of them, and they've lost some good long-serving South fellas this year for the season, like Kyle Aythorne and that. And he's dirty about not being able to be out there and help the boys.
They've got some good players there that are, like if Sam Cocker plays, Duncan plays, and Kyle Aythorne plays, they do have some good people around that club.
So good luck with the Tigers on the weekend. I hope they can get some points on the board and push Valleys along. But look, as we go to the break, let's look at an interview now with the Bill and Steve Pollard medalist winner, Nathan Bowring from the Madsen Rasmussen on the weekend.
Coming up after the break, Reedy's Rant on the TRL Footy Show, brought to you by the Criterion Hotel Dalby, the Gail Walker Swim School, and Power FM, live and free on Power TV Australia.
Nev Cherry reporting for the Toowoomba Rugby League, and I'm here with the Bill Pollard medalist, Nathan Bowring. Nathan, I see in the first half there you put a big hit on Duggan and you got busted around the chin or the eye.
Yeah, mate, I got a bit of a cut underneath my chin there and a sore jaw, but other than that, unscathed, I suppose.
Mate, I've watched you from last year to this year, and you seem a lot more settled in the dummy half role there, and the whole team feeds off that, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I'll probably credit Brett for that. He's been really good with me there, and I've got all the boys running off me, so it makes it a lot easier.
Mate, winning that medal from Bill Pollard medal, it's very prestigious within the Toowoomba Rugby League, and how does that feel to win that?
Oh, mate, I'm stoked to win it. There's probably a number of boys I would have gave it to before myself, but to get it, I'm really good.
Mate, well done. You played very well.
Thank you.
Break out the popcorn, sweets and drinks. It's Sunday night at the movies. Latest release movies brought to you exclusively by US filmmakers, including Lima Films. Sunday night at the movies, so join us every Sunday night at 7 p.m. right here on Power TV Australia.
Hi, this is Mick Jagger on
Classic Vinyl.
This is Debbie Harrow from Blondie.
This is Jimmy Barnes here.
Stevie Nicks from Fleetwood Mac.
This is Reverend Willie G from ZZ Top.
The best tracks from the greatest albums of our generation.
That's right.
From your breakfast and coffee to your drive home.
benefits that make your workday
When you got a job to do, go by a lot faster.
Hey, if we haven't said it lately, thanks for listening. The home of classic rock.
Don't touch the dial.
PowerFMradio.com.au.
Playing indoor netball, cricket, soccer, dodgeball and volleyball is a great way to keep fit and catch up with friends, and the place to go and play any or all of these sports is Action Indoor Sports. There are competitions for juniors and adults of all levels of ability, from beginners to the most experienced. Action Indoor Sports is home to Inflatable World, an inflatable theme park for all ages, and new and coming soon, indoor softball. Go and see for yourself. Action Indoor Sports is located at 31 Spencer Street, Toowoomba. Check out the website ToowoombaIndoorSports.com or phone 4635 9999.
Well, welcome along to My Music. I'm Jeff Black. Let me tell you about the T-Bird Diner. Well, just over here, we've got a Ford custom line that's crashed through the wall. Next episode on My Music on Power TV Australia. I'll see you then.
And welcome back to the TRL Footy Show. Now it's time for Reedy's Rant.
Yeah, thanks very much, Robbo. I'm a little bit disappointed. I love rugby league. I love it at club grounds, but we've always had the TRL finals up at Athletic Oval or Clive Berghofer Stadium, and this year we hear the news that we're shifting the finals. We just had the Madsen Rasmussen at Herbsteinord. Great success, so I suppose there's a little bit of an argument for it going to club grounds. But I'm joined now with our chairman of the Toowoomba Rugby League, Brian Gilroy. And Brian, you've been in the paper only just today with the news about the Toowoomba Rugby League final series shifting to Glenholme Park.
Yeah, mate, it's good to have footy on the back page of the paper, but probably I'd rather be probably a more positive story. But yes, we've made a decision at the board that a number of issues at the Athletic Oval, as you and I remember it, Paul, and Clive Berghofer Stadium is it just got too difficult for us. It got a bit stressful to be using it, and there's a number of reasons for that. There's financial, there's what I'd call compliance issues, administrative, bureaucratic issues. So we've decided, for our own good, our own stress levels, and we're going to move it out to Brothers this year. Play a whole final series out of Brothers, and I think someone said to me today, it won't be the same experience, but it'll be a different experience, an experience that's probably worthwhile.
But with the success of the Madsen Rasmussen finals on the weekend at a home ground, at a Valley's home ground, it showed you how well rugby league is perceived, and people still showed up to a local ground to enjoy one of our finals. It is, and some of the things that Valleys and Brothers and grounds like that can offer you, it's just simple things like plenty of parking. So that you're not walking miles like you might have at the stadium to get into place. I suppose you feel a bit more comfortable. We have a function for our sponsors, and Valleys is not only is it's much more amenable. You feel more at home at a footy ground, but it's also from our point of view, it's a much cheaper option than doing it at the John McDonald Room, which is a great facility, but it's just a little bit cheaper for us and a bit more functional. Yeah, and I think everyone forgets in rugby league that all the back of our clubs are run by volunteers. The Toowoomba Rugby League is no different. The board is all volunteers, with only the one or two paid employees through the Toowoomba Rugby League and the Queensland Rugby League. So when it's a lot of compliance and a lot of extra hoops and things you've got to jump through, Brian, it makes it a little bit difficult to want to keep fronting up and doing that at the same ground all the time. And one of those people said to me earlier, she said, it's the most stressful 6 weeks of our year, and I should tell you that one of the reasons is because she says I get so cranky, and it's mainly to do with having to deal with some of the things that happen between us and the administration at the Oval, and it's just hopefully we'll be able to get it rectified and get the final series back there. Murph, you would have played a number of final series up there at the Clyde Berghofer Stadium, mate. What was it like as a player?
As a player, it's the home of rugby league. Obviously, the history of the game there and what's happened there, and it was good. And I remember reading about good Toowoomba sides beating some of the best sides in the world. I know the French side.
Yeah, Great Britain.
They still talk about coming here to Toowoomba and getting beat here against them. But the history was something that I loved as a player. But unfortunately, financial reasons, Toowoomba's got to look after itself in rugby league. But we can still create new history. I'm sure all the players playing in a grand final. Doesn't matter where you play, you're in a grand final. That atmosphere, the people will be there, and the prestige will still be there. So
yeah, and I think look, these decisions are never made lightly. We've spoken about it over a long time, Brian, and I commend the Toowoomba Rugby League. You've made the decision. You've moved the final series, and it'll turn out to be another fantastic addition to rugby league later in the year. It'll be at Glenholme Park. But there we go. Straight out to you, government officials running the Queensland government there. You need to help us get rugby league back up at Clyde Berghofer Stadium and take all the bureaucracy and the rubbish out of it, and let us get rugby league back up at Clyde Berghofer. Anyway, there's my rant for the weekend. Thanks to all our guest panellists who joined us today. Nev Cherry, who was on earlier, fantastic insight to rugby league, does a great job with Power FM every weekend, bringing our games live to you on the radio. Justin, thank you, mate, for coming along again.
Thanks, always a pleasure to come here and speak about footy.
Yeah, and Brian, thank you, mate.
Yeah,
thanks for coming along.
Next week I'll come and talk about some good stuff.
No, it's all good. It's for the right reasons. It's rugby league. This is the Toowoomba Rugby League show brought to you from the Toowoomba Sports Club.
This has been the TRL Footy Show, thanks to our major sponsors, the Criterion Hotel Dolby, the Gail Walker Swim School in Highfields, Power FM, Royce Music and the Computer Troubleshooters. If you're in business and interested in advertising on Power TV or Power FM, you can contact us by phone or email. The contact details are on the screen. This has been a Power TV Australia production in conjunction with Power FM. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and remember to download the Power TV Australia app from the Google Play Store. Thanks for your company for another edition of the TRL Footy Show. I'm Robbo. See you next week.